Welcome back, everyone. My name is Sam.
And I'm Melissa.
I was raised in a family with 4 moms and 34 kids. We were members of the FLDS Church, which is a polygamous group run by Warren Jeffs, who is now serving a life sentence in prison.
I was raised mainstream LDS in Utah, and Sam and I have been married for 10 years and have 2 awesome kiddos.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We're back today with you guys for something a little bit different and fun. We're going to learn a little bit about how much AI, aka Google's new assistant, Gemini, knows about polygamy.
Yes, we are not sponsored, although Google, if you are interested in sponsoring us, let us know, because we use Google for everything. We have Google phones, all the stuff. Google. And when we saw Gemini coming out, and I mean, the big boom with AI is just crazy right now.
Yeah.
And so we thought it would be fun to kind of compare notes between what Sam knows growing up in the community and what Gemini has been able to gather. So we thought it'd be super fun. And first, we're going to ask Gemini what the main questions people ask about polygamy.
We have our phones here. We're going to just ask Gemini or Google what, by the way, Google hears us no matter what we say. If we say the word Google, it's like, yes, how can I help you? So I'm sure you all know how that goes. But we're going to ask, what are the top questions asked about polygamy?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That sound good? Okay. What are the top 5 questions asked about polygamy? So number 1, what are the different types of polygamy? Oh my gosh, these are going to be some hard questions to answer.
Yeah.
Okay, we can do this. We're going to see, here's the thing. We're going to ask Gemini what the answer is to these and then compare it to my experience growing up in polygamy and see if it's the same or if AI is getting a little bit wrong, maybe, hopefully.
Okay, so I'm going to read these questions to Gemini.
Okay, here he's at the top.
Okay, so the first one.
All right.
Again, these questions are created by Gemini, but we also want to see how Gemini answers.
Okay.
Oh. What are the different types of polygamy?
I'm curious too.
There are 3 main types of polygamy. 1. Polygyny. This is the most common form of polygamy, where one man is married to multiple women. It is often practiced in cultures where women are seen as property, or where economic reasons dictate the need for multiple wives. 2. Polyandry. This is less common, where one woman is married to multiple men. It is often practiced in cultures where men are scarce, or where property or resources are inherited through the maternal line. 3. Polygyny. This is a rare form of polygamy, where multiple men and women are married to each other in a group. It is often associated with communal living arrangements and shared resources.
Okay.
So we've heard of all of these.
Yes.
We never use those terms though, like the
Polygyny.
Polygyny. I've heard the word, but it's rare that I ever hear someone use the actual word.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, so that one's obviously the one that we talk about on this channel the most because that's what Sam was raised in. I also think it's interesting they say that the most common form, so it's the most common form, man being married to multiple women. It's interesting that they do talk about the fact that it's practice where women are seen as property.
Right.
Or where economic reasons dictate the need for multiple wives.
And that kind of explains where the idea of in polygamy, not always, but in a lot of cases, at least with what I've seen, the man is in charge and the women are to obey and follow the man. And, you know, and if you're going based off of it's just a need, it's just the society's need to have multiple women, then that kind of, you know, falls into line. And yeah, so I don't know, that does make sense with what I've seen, that they are kind of like a, what word did you use? Property?
Yeah. Women are seen as property,
which just sounds so negative and so bad when you think about it, but it is true, unfortunately.
And especially within the FLDS, as Warren Jeffs took over and he started separating families, it became more clear. Like, I think that like at the beginning of fundamentalism, the beginning of the FLDS church or a lot of the other Mormon fundamentalists, it wasn't meant to be like that, right?
Right.
And then slowly over time, it became more and more like that. And it became more apparent that that's really how it was when Warren Jeffs was able to start separating families and start saying, these guys aren't worthy of you, so now you go over here, or you go over there, or your children are meant over here and over there. Then it became pretty clear that if you're moving people around, it looks like they're just property.
Yeah, and oh man, see this is tricky too, because in my family, the way I was raised with 4 moms in the home, I don't remember my father ever, I don't know, I don't remember him treating them like a lesser or that they weren't important to him or anything like that. I never saw that. He was very, from what I could tell, very respectful and kind. That being said, the church rules and the way that the things were set up in the church set him as the leader. So it was just expected. It was just expected that he was the leader and that the mothers and the children were to follow and obey his every command. That's just kind of the way the culture was set up. Now, there may be other men that I'm not familiar with. Well, there's some that I am familiar with, but there's a lot of other men that I'm not familiar with that maybe didn't even want that role as being the leader and let the wives have more control. And I know that there were some personalities within the women in the FLDS church as well where they did feel like they wanted more control, and so that did cause some problems in the relationships. So there was all different ways of living, even within the same religion.
Yeah, definitely. And it kind of goes back to the idea of like each individual family is going to practice it differently. But for the FLDS, did Warren Jeffs as prophet view the women and children as property of the priesthood and property of the church, even separated or like even separate from the family unit and how a husband would view their wives and children? Were the wives and children viewed in the eyes of the church itself that way? And how much more harmful is it if the religious aspect of their lives is controlled with that viewpoint?
Right, because for most very religious people, the religion falls as number one priority because it's above human, it's above the law. It's God.
Question number 2. Is polygamy legal in the United States?
This is a common question.
No, polygamy is not legal in the United States. All 50 states have laws against polygamy. While the enforcement of these laws can vary, the practice itself is considered a crime. It's important to note that while polygamy is illegal, there may be instances of people living in polygamous relationships without being legally married. In such cases, they may face legal consequences related to issues like child custody, property rights, or tax implications.
Wow. Can you say the FLDS has experienced all of those?
All of those things?
within the, Utah specifically. And I think, and I know that there is polygamy being practiced in multiple states. It's not just Utah. There's all kinds of different groups, religious groups and otherwise, that are practicing polygamy.
Yeah.
So I know that there's a lot going on out there, but I would have to say that Utah is the most popular state that is known for people living and practicing polygamy.
And so they've come up with the extra laws
Right.
because just the blanket statement of, yes, it's illegal in all 50 states, but if people practice it by not getting married, then normally it's not a big deal. Utah's the one that tried to go a step further and say, if you're cohabitating with more than one person or you're claiming that they're your wife or husband, like, then that part of it's illegal, right? Which in other states, nobody's having to go into like specifics and nobody's caring about how many people you live with or how many people you sleep with,
Right.
Which is a big complaint in Utah about like, why are you trying to dictate that? And the best answer, because it is such like a weird, sticky situation, is that Utah's trying to help limit the secondary crimes that come from these extremist polygamous religions that are causing harm.
Right. And that's primarily, yes, control over others is the number one big issue throughout the groups in Utah. And it's not just the FLDS. There are other groups in Utah that are definitely taking advantage of their members financially, controlling every aspect of their lives, forcing people to get married to other people even when they don't want to, but using religion as the reason, hey, this is what God wants. And if you are raised in a religion like that, it's how can you say no to God, right? That's how I felt. If Warren Jeffs did tell our family to do certain things, and I just went along with everything he said because I thought he was a man of God. Mm-hmm. And so that's just, unfortunately, if that's the way you're raised, or even if you are converted to it in some way or another and you fully 100% believe in it, it's hard to say no to who you think is speaking with God.
Yeah. Should we move to question number 3?
Question number 3.
Here we go.
Here it is.
That's Gemini. Why do people choose to practice polygamy?
People choose to practice polygamy for a variety of reasons, often rooted in cultural, religious, or personal beliefs. Here are some common motivations. Religious beliefs. Some religions and religious sects consider polygamy a divine commandment or a sign of spiritual devotion. Cultural traditions. In certain cultures, polygamy is seen as a normal or even desirable way of life, often tied to social status, economic security, or family lineage. Economic reasons. In some societies, polygamy can be a means of providing for a larger family or increasing wealth. Personal desire. Some individuals may simply find personal fulfillment or satisfaction in polygamous relationships. Social pressure. In certain communities, social pressure or family expectations can influence individuals to enter into polygamous marriages. It's important to note that while polygamy may be accepted or tolerated in some cultures, it is illegal in many parts of the world and can have significant social and legal consequences.
Wow, well,
That was a thorough answer.
Gemini hit that nail on the head. That was a great answer. And all of those we have, I don't know if we've discussed all of those on our channel here, but all of those have been a topic in our conversation at some point or another.
Yeah, and I mean the number one reason, which I would be curious if we asked Gemini what the number one reason in like the US is, but it seems like, culturally it's still within the religious aspect for most people that are practicing it in the United States. Mm-hmm. Obviously there's other countries and other cultures that do that as well, like he was mentioning, but within the US I would say it's typically and primarily from the root of Mormonism and fundamentalism in some sense there. But I think you did a good job with that.
Yeah, I would say number one is, from my experience, is the social pressure in communities, just the pressure of it all. This is what you're supposed to do. And then, of course, backed up by religion. That's what I would say.
Yeah, but the social construct is really only because of the religious pressure to begin with, right?
Which did all come from Mormonism, yes.
Yep, so that was a good one, Gemini. Okay.
Number 4.
What are the challenges of polygamy?
Polygamy, while accepted or tolerated in some cultures, can present significant challenges for both individuals and families involved. Here are some of the key challenges. Legal issues. Polygamy is illegal in many parts of the world, and those who practice it may face legal consequences such as fines, imprisonment, or social stigma. Social stigma. Polygamous relationships often face social disapproval and discrimination, leading to isolation, prejudice, and potential harm to individuals and families. Economic challenges. Managing a polygamous household can be financially demanding, requiring careful budgeting, resource allocation, and potential strain on family finances. Emotional complexities. Polygamous relationships can involve complex emotional dynamics, including jealousy, competition, and the need for strong communication and conflict resolution skills. Child welfare concerns. Raising children in a polygamous family can present unique challenges, such as ensuring equal treatment, addressing potential sibling rivalry, and navigating the complexities of multiple parental figures. Religious and cultural differences. In polygamous families where individuals come from different religious or cultural backgrounds, there may be conflicts or disagreements over practices, beliefs, and expectations. It's important to note that these challenges can vary widely depending on cultural context, individual circumstances, and the specific dynamics within a polygamous relationship.
Whoa. So I have to say, Gemini, I feel like gives a lot more thorough answers than what the Hey Google used to before.
You got Google trying to answer all of our questions now.
Our Google Home from the other room just tried to answer it for me.
All of our Google.
But
oh no, it started playing
started
music.
Something. Hey Google, stop.
Stop listening to us.
But yeah, that's definitely one of the, it seems like it's giving very thorough answers with a lot more information. That was another good one. And a lot of these issues, I have to say, this video is coming out Wednesday. By the way, if at this point you're still here and liking this content, please like and subscribe. On Saturday, we have an interview with Brady Williams, who, while him and his family and his 5 wives and himself left fundamentalism, they still are in a plural family and still stay together. And he talks about some of the issues of how hard polygamy is.
It's not easy. And even though he is, he's got 5 wives, 25 kids, I mean, that's a big responsibility, but he is very happy with his family. He's very much in love with his family, but even still, he will admit that it is very challenging.
Mm-hmm. When he's not blind to the challenges.
Right. When you step away from the religious aspects of it all that are pushing people to live this lifestyle, it's very, very challenging. So that was an extensive list of challenges that could come from polygamy. Now, granted, life in general is challenging. So, some of these challenges are challenges for most everyone anyway, the financial and things like that. But adding the complexity of polygamy is only going to heighten those challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, question number 5. Oh, that's a good one too.
Okay.
How does polygamy affect children?
The impact of polygamy on children can vary significantly depending on several factors, including the quality of the relationships. If the adults in the polygamous relationship are loving, supportive, and provide a stable environment, children can benefit from having multiple caregivers. The cultural context. In cultures where polygamy is accepted or normalized, children may experience less social stigma or discrimination. The child's individual experiences. Each child's experience within a polygamous family will be unique, influenced by their personality, temperament, and the specific dynamics of their family. Potential benefits of polygamy for children can include increased support. Children may have more adults available to provide love, guidance, and support. Expanded role models. Multiple adult figures can offer diverse perspectives, life experiences, and role models. Economic advantages. A polygamous family may have more resources to support children's needs. Potential challenges of polygamy for children can include social stigma and discrimination. Children may face negative attitudes or bullying from peers or others in their community. Jealousy and competition. There may be tension or rivalry among children, especially if they feel unequal treatment or attention. Complexity of relationships. Children may find it difficult to navigate the complexities of multiple parental figures in their relationships. Uncertainty and instability. If the adult relationships are unstable or subject to change, children may experience emotional insecurity. It's important to note that these are just potential outcomes, and individual experiences can vary greatly. The key to a positive experience for children in a polygamous family is a loving, supportive, and stable environment where their needs are met and their emotional well-being is prioritized.
Okay, Gemini likes the sound of his voice. Jeez. I'm just kidding. No, that was good information, but he had a lot to say about that.
He did have a lot to say.
Wow. Okay, so I will say that kind of a few things that stood out to me with what he was saying is when you have that many adults and that many kids in a household, it can feel a little lonely at times. Let me explain. That sounds crazy, I know. But when there is so much of the adult's attention being spread thin throughout everyone involved in that family, it's hard to get the attention like I would like to give my kids today. It's hard to get that attention as a kid from your parents when there are so many kids involved. There is so much going on all the time. So though it was a very big household with a lot of exciting things going on all the time, there were moments that it did feel lonely just because the attention was spread so thin.
Well, and I feel like too, Gemini did a good job of talking about some positives, right? Like you would think, okay, because there's more caretakers, like if you have 4 moms, that's going to mean more attention. But I think that also depends on the family and how many children those 4 mothers produce. Because if you are, let's say, in a polygamous family that isn't religious or does believe in birth control, right? And they're choosing how many children they have, and maybe there's a total of 10 children from 4 moms, right? Then you're going to end up just dividing that time. It's going to look a lot different than if 4 mothers who religiously don't believe in birth control and each have 12 children, still dividing 4 moms across 48 children, or in your case, 34 children. That's a lot. That's a lot. So you're still having that time divided so thin. Right. And so that's going to depend on the family and at what point they are in having children and what their time can look like. I think just depending.
100%. And every family dynamic is going to be different for sure.
Yeah.
But I would say that the more common way of living polygamy is that the women do have a lot of children.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's generally speaking. And then, of course, I had 4 mothers in my home, but there are those families that have a lot more than 4, right? And so that's just going to make that much greater in a challenge, I guess, keep everyone. And you always hear the stories of a polygamous family accidentally leaving a child at a grocery store or at the zoo or something, because just keeping track of that many kids is difficult as well.
Yeah.
So.
And like you said, I think it was the Centennial Park when we were watching Polygamy USA. I'll leave a link above. But one of those wives said that there were like, I can't remember how many mothers, but there was like 60 something children. And so, yeah, just so many mothers, so many children. It's that would have to be a whole system.
Yeah. So, I mean, there are families that figure it out, and they have their structure and they are able to make it work. But there are a lot of challenges that have to be overcome, or at least you have to admit that they exist within polygamous families for the children.
Well, if you enjoyed hearing Gemini's comparison to Sam's comparison about answering top questions about polygamy, please like and subscribe. Let us know in the comments what questions you have that we can do videos to answer your questions about polygamous communities, especially within fundamental Mormonism, or any other questions you have.
Yeah, thank you all so much. This was kind of fun to hear what the Google Assistant has to say about polygamy and compare that with mine. So thank you all so much for being here with us again, and we look forward to talking with you soon.
Talk to y'all soon.